Okay, so I just read The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles, and that was a different experience. I wasn't quite sure where to put this video because, it's in the reading sector, but it's also more based towards money. And the hard thing about a lot of these is the concepts and the theories and the paradigms that a lot of these books seem to be pushing run across the board. So it's not just this just applies to money. Anything that or any of the ideas that they suggest about ways you should be thinking, ways you should be acting, ways you treat your employees, how to choose what employees you have, all seem to have this underlying idea or this underlying method that could be applied to your general life. So, but I put this one in money just because that's what it's related to. Really interesting read, quite different. Not that I've read a lot yet, but this is not how I expected it to come across. The whole book is pretty much written in as if it were a scientific formula or a mathematical formula. It's very proof-based. Right off the bat, he basically goes and says that, if you follow exactly what this does, 100% you will be successful, you will get money. But if you don't do any of these things, or if there's one thing that you don't do, then there's no guarantee. He starts off with a basic sort of a paragraph. Then as he goes through the book and addresses certain issues, that paragraph, that statement becomes larger and stronger and more justified. There's a lot of really good things to take out of this book. One is that I need to work on my memory skills. One of the things he says in there which I quite like, and I'm going to keep for myself, probably reword it just because I can't remember the exact words, but it goes something like, do every day everything that can be done, and everything you do, take care that it is successful or effective, something along those lines. But just that concept itself I really like. Another quite powerful one which resonates with me a lot is the idea of always giving back more than you receive in cash value, for argument's sake, because this is dealing with business. So if someone's paying you for a service or paying you for a product, you should always be giving them more than what they're paying for. Which I love. I love that idea, because that's gonna, if that is something that you take and you use yourself, then you're always gonna feel good about what you're doing. You're not just sitting there taking money from someone and cheating people, or not that I presume that you guys do that, but you're not just trading on equal terms. You're going, well, I've got this thing, you want it, you give me what I want for it, but I'm also going to throw this in, or I'm also going to treat you this way on top of that, or I'm going to, so, like in the service industry, or in selling products, or anything like that. It's like, you jump in a taxi. The taxi driver's job is to take you from A to B. And that's what they're giving you. There's no reason why you can't, instead of just being a passenger and giving them the money, be nice to them as well. Talk to them, ask how their day was, And it goes the other way, the taxi driver, you're giving him money, his service is to take you from A to B. There's no reason why he can't interact with you, why he can't be nice to you, why he can't, be curious about who you are, what you do, how you've been, Those things are really interesting. And then you go on to the product side of things, Maybe you have a product, and when you sell it to someone, they give you the money, and you throw a little something extra in there, or that product does more, or it's more valuable than what they're giving you. And this is not to say you should be selling things for $1 where they should be being sold for $100, but more that the more value, the more personal value you can put onto something, the better. In general, for everyone. I really want people to read it and see what they think. It worked really well for me because I generally like to work in the realm of logic, and I'm not an overly educated person or anything like that, But I always I don't enjoy it now, but I always did enjoy maths. Was never great at the sciences, but the structure of it all really interests me. The way it's all worded and the way it's all put together. And I can understand there'd be a lot of people that just wouldn't latch onto that, or not necessarily wouldn't get it, but wouldn't click with it. But I know there's a lot of people out there that would actually really appreciate the way it's put together. So this one, I'm not just recommending it. It's for specific types of people. If you're a much more logical person, when you come up to a situation, if you're the kind of person that either sits there and weighs out the pros and cons, or you're someone that's more like me and starts thinking ahead and of not in terms of planning, but more, if I do this, then this, or this could happen. If this happens, what then? I think that sort of mentality would click really well with this book. So I'm really hoping that some of you can get hold of this book and have a bit of a read of it. I'd really like to see what you think. I think it's one that would make for an interesting discussion too, because of the idea. I'm not going to try and quote it, because there's no way I'm going to get it right. But the bit that I was a little bit iffy about is where he does talk about the idea of things and thoughts, which is to say that it's taken in a way that there are things and there is stuff, and how do I put it? We impress upon that stuff what its purpose will be. We create things from that stuff. That's that energy. That's the juice that our minds use, our souls use to bring something into being. And that I'm a little bit iffy about, but at the same time, if you choose to think of things in that way, it actually becomes quite empowering, because you then go, well, I am in control of all of that. It is my choice how these things turn out to be. It is my choice whether or not this drawing happens, or whether or not I create this piece of art, or it's a lot deeper than that, but for me that was a part I focused a little less on, and more about the underlying messages and ideas in there. As I said, it is based more towards money. So the idea of this is, I guess a large portion of it is kind of like ethics and morals. So being in an industry that you believe about, so, having a product or a service or whatever it might be that you're passionate about and that you believe in and that you truly would use yourself. I think that's a really important message too. There's a lot of people these days that are on the grind, that are doing a job that they don't want to be doing. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that, because it's a means to something. But we're all capable of more. So as long as it's not, the last thing you want to be doing is in a job going, I'm going to be doing this for the rest of my life and I hate it. Wouldn't it be so much better to be doing something where every time you're providing that service or selling that product or making that referral or whatever it is, that you felt good about it, that you felt you were actually giving more than what you were receiving, but you were still receiving and still making a living and still surviving and prospering even, So yeah, like I said, really interesting, a lot of things to be taken out of it for me. The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. But I'd love, please, if anyone's read it, or if anyone does read it, I'd really like to know what you think. Throw some comments down below. I'm with this whole thing, I'm really happy to talk about stuff. I don't advocate arguments per se. I like the concept that there should always be debates to an extent, because we all have different opinions, we all have different experiences. But what I'm getting at more is I don't want anyone shooting anyone else down for being wrong, because there isn't really any wrong, especially with this kind of stuff. It's more, how did it translate to you? Were you able to use it? Did you feel that it was a silly fairy tale, or did you feel it was something that you want to strive towards? These are the kinds of things that I'm looking at. And a lot of this stuff you know, I go through myself. Some of the things I read, some of the things I watch, I go, what drugs is this guy on? You know, other times it's a lot more like, wow, that's something I really want to do, or that's something I really want to be. But on both ends of the spectrum, there's always something to be gained from it, you know. So remember, always be open. You know, life's about learning. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to learn, trying to fill my mind with as many useful bits of information as I can. So it would be really great if you guys can be a part of that and interact with what's going on here. Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and follow. And like I said, please join in when you can. You know, read one of the books I've read, or suggest to me some more books to read, or a seminar to watch, or anything. I'm open to just about anything. So yeah, here's to being better.